everybody, Edo here, and the good folks at Good Games Publishing gave me a copy of Unfair, also being published by Cool Mini or Not. This was designed by Joel Finch, and, you know, this is going to be a little bit of a different review because normally I don't really watch too many reviews and sort of poll people on their feeling on a game before I do a video. Most of my videos are based on my experience playing. But there was this huge uproar over Tom Vassel's review of this, which was poor, in contrast with a lot of backers and people who were loving it and excited, echoed after the fact in the thread as well, that I was curious. And I was like looking at and reading it and trying to understand what was going on. And then after I had played, I had a little bit more of perspective on it. And I then polled and asked people to get some more feedback and thoughts from individuals to see if it matched up with mine or not. And I was just curious. It's just an interesting situation to have. So Unfair is about building building an amusement park with all the roller coasters and themes, and you can pirates and ninjas and robots and gangsters but it's basically it's majority cards, right? This is a giant box with cards in it with extra spots for presumably expansions, and then there are these components you see in front and this board. But what you're doing is you are building your park in front of you, and you're laying down rides, and then you're leveling rides up. So if I have a ride, you then start making these sort of towers, and I'm not checking in if this is correctly done. There's some restrictions and things like that, but you're spending money to make the most awesome ride, and they're getting longer and longer and longer. And actually, you get huge points at the end of the game for rides with lots of these, they call them icons, but just leveled up rides in different ways. And rides attract guests. Guests give you money. Money is used to buy more stuff. And it has a really clean mechanical hook and path, right? The game is absolutely solid. It works. It's there's a little bit of a setup when you're getting the events and you're mixing the different not races, but what do you call it? Like themes. And I only have pirates out, but you have to like shuffle them together, separate all the different types, like put things in. I mean, you get used to it, but it's got a little bit of a setup. And every player is going to start with their main gate, which sets the basic premise. You have this loan card, which is like you can immediately start playing going into debt, which is an interesting mechanic. And then there are some showcase rides, of which you'll pick one that are really expensive to build, but have awesome superpowers. And each deck has its own distribution, and they have this really cool card that shows you the distribution. The building your park, the thematic piece, all the art, awesome. Nails it. Feels great and interesting and fun, and you just love looking at each one, and all the decks feel great job there. Really great development work that was done to this. And so the park cards are that kind of thing. All of the drama, and then you can staff your park and that stuff. So I'm not really explaining the game. If you want to know how to play the game, watch how to play. All of the drama happens up here. And there's this big thing about this being a take that game and it being called Unfair, therefore it being unfair is cool. That isn't really an argument I buy, but I understand why, it's sort of on the box, but whatever. There's fun unfair and not fun unfair, right? But what happens is every round, everyone gets event cards and gets to use them. And many of the event cards just benefit you, but then you can also do ones that hurt other players. But the thing that's most interesting dynamic about this game is the event cards are super swingy. They really that reward you for one thing versus another and give huge advantages to players in really big unexpected ways. So what ends up happening is you're playing the game and it feels super loose. You're like, man, like if I had that, I would have tons of points, but instantly, here's a card that instantly lets you upgrade, put down a ride or upgrade a ride. It's like, well, I don't have anything. And when this event came up or this item came up, that's more of a city card, but I don't have anything good. But you had a 20 coin upgrade or ride, and you get to do that for free. That was just a 20 point diff, right? So the money in this game is really tight, but the card advantages combos are really loose. And it creates this weird dynamic. And it's unsettling as a player for it to be that weird. Then there are these city event cards which do other crazy stuff. Let you do this, close rides, buy things, and they get worse and worse and meaner. And there is that take that element, which you can use event cards and do to players, but then there's just like, oh, I sort of had this strategy going on where I was going up one ride or two rides, or I wasn't diversified enough. That card came up and I got destroyed. This entire round, all my rides are closed down. I'm out. Blueprints are effectively goal cards. So I guess the blueprint cards aren't really... These are nice additions. These are more level than this stuff. It's really this in that category. And so it creates this feeling and tension between, well, do I really... Is it about having a strategy, or is it about being able to deal with what happens? And in many ways, it's about dealing with what happens. And this rewards people who I like to say have good, are good with dynamic tactics. They're good with playing a game that keeps you on the edge of your seat unexpectedly based on the players, but also just the game does that to you. And lots of people actually clearly like that. There's clearly an audience of people who have played this game that really enjoy that piece. It keeps the gameplay level, and it's hard to really blow ahead when other people can tear you down and do all that stuff. And there's a certain sensation. I know I was playing, and I was like, is it that this game's loose? Is it bothering me? Are you going to get used to it? And the reality is you can get used to it. And I think that there's a lot of excitement to have there. I do think it undermines how cool everything else is, and how I made mobile games. I made Zoot. I worked at Atari and worked at Roller Coaster Tycoon for a while, but I worked at Bufang Games and the Zoo Tycoon franchise and Zoo Kingdom, and I know a lot about parks and making parks, and there's a part of building and creating a park that, and especially if it's not a zoo with animals, right, an amusement park, that's about creating the park and the guests and what's going on and feeling like you're building something. That theme doesn't really have the evil attacking other parks thing going on, right? Perhaps amusement parks go after amusement parks, but there's few amusement park experiences where they're we're going to go head-to-head amusement park style, and we're going to throw down injunctions and knock you out, and it's got this sort of aggressive business, aggressive player tone, when sort of what you want to do is build and have a really cool amusement park and a roller coaster park. And that it's an odd thematic tension that creates an unease with some players playing this game. And the mechanics are sound. It works. The numbers add up, and actually that swinginess, probably if you leveled it out, everyone's basically getting the same amount of rolls, and yeah, we're rolling d6s, and not in the game, it's an example, but you got a bunch of sixes, you got a bunch of ones, but we're going to roll so many dice that if you average it out, yeah, we're all between 2 and 4 threes, right? It's a little bit more of a visceral reaction than I think in the long term, if you're playing it well, happens. You normalize it. What I'll end with, and so I enjoyed it. I'd play it again. I'd be careful on who I play it with. I probably wouldn't pick it up first, but if somebody said you want to play Unfair, I'd probably say sure. This game needs an expansion, and the expansion needs to bring in a board. In this game, I need another track to complement the crazy, fun, wacky track. Another track where I feel like I'm building and making, and it's going to move, and if I notch up this way, it's going to notch up, and I'm going to feel satisfied and like I accomplished something and wasn't just playing side shot reactive craziness, in my opinion. There's an opportunity here, for an awesome opportunity to level this up, have me make my own little theme park thing, and the rides can go, I can have something that gives me the sense of build that isn't so tied into Event City, something I can take 10% and feed into and sort of bank and save and have some consistency with. I think it would really make for an amazing game. I really do. I think there's an opportunity here. This alone leaves that works for some, not others sort of feel. And you know, again, on that unfair thing, there are better take that games. Like, I actually don't think this is really that good of a take that game, because when everyone's sort of on the edge of their seat, like and with a little bit of a lack of control anyway, because things are flipping, it's like, oh, you just did another thing to me. The game's fighting me as much as the other players are. So it's not. I don't like that argument. Well, it says unfair, so therefore it should be swingy, or like, it's different than that, in my opinion. It's as much the game as it is the other players. And it creates a different dynamic, which many people enjoy and is fun. I think a little bit could have been added to level it a little bit and make it more fun for more people. Again, overall, I'd say I enjoyed it. Anyway, this is a weird one, but I don't know. It's how I wanted to do it. So subscribe, share all that good stuff. Most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.